The Conjuring 3, the latest, craziest addition to the already insane universe of The Conjuring. A universe that has more spin-offs than actual entries to its main franchise. And like any good horror franchise that has been going on for a few different entries, The Conjuring 3 now doesn't use numbers. Instead, it goes for the favorite thing for horror directors or horror titleists, I guess that might be a job, where instead of using a number, they go for the colon and then something they thought would sound pretty cool. Now, this is no Candyman farewell to the Flash, for that is the coolest name ever made. The devil made me do it is a pretty cool catchy phrase to include to your horror movie title. And this movie doesn't only have a catchy little phrase attached to it. The Conjuring 3 is pretty amazing. It is a fairly well presented, directed, edited, with a fairly good score movie that is taking you on a popcorn rush of horror-fast ghouls attacking you at any other possible event in the movie where ghouls might occur. Trying to get spooked? The Conjuring 3 is a movie for you. Now, there is a few things about these movies that you need to be taken with a grain of salt. A very big grain of salt. Like the fact that they supposedly are based on this true story. This is a movie about the fight of good and evil between the Lord and the adversaries for your soul. These are totally based on the true story, absolutely 100% truer than any relationship you ever had with your parents, especially according to the Warrens. This is what happened. This is based on the Warrens' case, based on the Warrens' experience, based on the Warrens' job that is dependent on the fact that people believe them for them to have made any of their money. And totally not against the wishes of the people that were actually impacted by their actions. I'll talk about those jabs later, so instead let's talk about this movie without some of the background real life to color your view of what this movie is like. The fictitious events presented in The Conjuring 3 are pretty damn fun. They are enjoyable, energetic, and shown in different ways than your just standard horror flick. Not everything is dark and gray, there's different colors, there's different aesthetics to how the camera moves. This is, I think, one of the most conjuriest movie to ever be conjured into the Conjuring universe ever. If you have any familiarity with the previous movies or just the universe as a whole, you will probably notice a lot of the elements that make this universe the Conjuring universe. All of these things are packed into this movie to the point of almost bursting. This movie is filled with content trying, and I think succeeding, in getting you engaged and enjoying your supernatural ride with dubious characters in real life, but that's okay, because these are the fictitious ones that totally, absolutely are different, because most of this is kind of bogus and not something that actually happened at all. This movie goes places and doesn't stop. It gets shit done and it also doesn't stop doing that as well. This movie only knows one pace, and it's speed. It goes so condensedly into itself that if it tried to condense more spooky things happening in a spooky movie anymore, the density of just the spookiness of it might be able to collapse into an event horizon that maybe, just maybe, might cause a black hole that finally can fill my soul and devour me whole. The Conjuring 3 is an absolutely insane ride from beginning to end. It doesn't fuck around, and if you don't understand anything that's going on in the Conjuring universe, you have never seen a movie in this franchise ever, it does not matter, because you don't need to. You have everything you need to understand what is going on. The Conjuring 3 is kind of the same, but not really. It changes a lot of stuff, but also only kind of. And by that I mean that the things that it changes are not changes. They're just adding more to the usual occurrences that you're used to in the previous movies. This is not just one haunting in one house or in one family. Fuck that shit. Hell no, that shit is lame. Let's get all over the place. Let's go to a prison, go to a hospital, go across the fucking state lines to find missing people with psychic battles between the good versus evil, Lord versus the adversaries. There's fucking psychic battles between a witch and Lorraine. It includes so many things that it gives you right away that this is not gonna be your usual Conjuring movie. This is not just gonna be, oh, let's wait until the third act for a bombastic climatic exorcism of a child that looks very painful. Let's not put a little bag on top of somebody's head to create a sense of what lies below the veil of uncertainty. Subtle, low-key horror is a thing that I love, but the Conjuring 3 brings out a fucking Glock and shoots it in the back of the goddamn head. If you thought you had to wait for an insane, sensational exorcism like you usually do in the other movies, no. It's the first thing you see. There's this kid doing 360s no scopes with their goddamn back, just twisting around and screaming and shouting because there's so much pain, and all of this happens before the title drop, based on the true story. All of the elements that you're used to seeing are also present, so don't you worry. There's the innocuous family being haunted by ghosts and demons and ghouls for reasons that don't matter because we only need them to get haunted for this to start. The curse is either present in a person or at the home. Not that it ever matters that the curse is only at the home, because once they move into the home, the curse attaches itself to the person, making the difference basically pointless, and the distinction make no effect in how the plot occurs or how the haunting could be solved. It's fine. Ed and Lorraine are absolute heroes. They are the moral ground that we should atone for. They do everything only to help others, never for a financial gain. These movies never mention that they got paid to do this. They are just doing their jobs as good Christians would to save your soul and claiming to have solved literally hundreds and hundreds of different hauntings and cases, one that involved a possession by a werewolf. Yup. And don't worry, these movies never claim there's any other possibility, any other reason why people that look like they're acting like they have some sort of mental illness are acting like they're having a maniac episode. Everything is ghosts, everything is possessions, and you're possessed right now, and the demon inside of your head wants you to do terrible things. And of course, just like I said before, we get children being bullied. A thing that this universe is not scared to do. It loves bullying children. Sure, there is a kid that was really involved in these things that the Warrens claim have happened, but in the fictitious world of The Conjuring, I respect them a lot more for putting kids at risk, giving them consequences, and showing that bad things can occur to our child characters. In the fictitious world, that's pretty cool to establishing stakes. When a movie is not scared of just bullying and terrorizing children, I respect that threat a lot more. And you, director, for bullying children. And now, for the list of things that this movie adds to the already insane Conjuring universe lore and aesthetics and vibes, you might want to skip this part of the video if you don't want any spoilers. But don't worry, I might give you reasons to not watch this movie with money, so whatever, maybe stay here, maybe don't. Here's the time, don't worry about it, it's fine. Now that the cowards have left and gone to the future thing of the video, let me just give you a real quick rundown of all the quick insanities that this movie introduces. Lorraine has a fight with a master Satanist with her psychic abilities, and the master Satanist uses crafts provided by her by a demon to fight against Lorraine. Ed has a heart attack and consistently keeps having heart attacks only when the plot needs it, but that's okay because this witch is cursing random people to cause them to kill others and then themselves, and also is able to summon the demon whenever it's convenient for the Warrens to not be able to prove that the kid is possessed. So it's not because they were wrong, it's because this demonic lady that didn't exist made a curse on the person so she could call the demon into the person and then off the person whenever it was necessary for them to not believe the Warrens that the kid was possessed. And then we also see a little bit of a glimpse that the Warrens actually for real were in a case where they claimed that the defendant was not responsible for his actions because he was possessed by a demon.
Your Honor, my client pleads not guilty by reason of demonic possession.
Don't worry, this is not all that happened in real life, because Lorraine apparently also helps the police using her psychic clairvoyant powers to find missing bodies, something she actually did in real life, and what the police seemingly were okay with. Oh, by the way, did I mention that there's a different dude with just as much cursed objects in his house as the Warrens? Because yeah, that's a thing. And the Master Satanist has an underground lair that looks like a goddamn abandoned catacomb in the middle of this United States of America, based on the true story and all. I'm just gonna go back to the people that were cowardly and fled to this section of the video, okay? Cool. They say Master Satanist out loud in this movie with as much of a straight face as you would expect from this universe that presents absolutely insane, inane, outworldly events as something that actually happened, with the straight-faced bequest of the greatest of actors.
A Master Satanist is not an adversary to be taken lightly.
Also, let's just appreciate the presentation of the visual flair of this movie, because it takes what could have been just a simple, oh, what is that? It's unclear, it's dark, is that a thing over there? Oh, it jumped at you, that's scary. It still does that a little bit, but then it takes that and just amps it up to 11, because again, the only thing this movie understands is more. It doesn't matter if it's visual style, nonsensical, supernatural plots, or just the pace that it keeps. It uses fun colors and bright lights to imply that there's some outworldly force around them. They use different types of camera angles that you wouldn't expect in a fight with a ghost. There's wind flowing around, implying a grandiose battle between good and evil. Holy shit, I can't take it anymore. Movie, calm down. Oh, damn. Are you gonna just take me around, take me for a loop, turn me upside down and say, hey, don't worry, there's more to come. This kid is floating. This kid is fucking breaking his back again. Don't worry about it. There's another fucking twisting back. Oh boy. Also, I am just gonna say thank you for the transitions that this movie included that weren't just used to be included in the trailer. Sure, they were used in the trailer to show how cool and crazy this was gonna be, but these smooth transitions from real world to crook world were pretty smooth and always made me excited for what was to come. Was a corpse gonna start moving and attacking Ad? Maybe. Were they gonna fight with a witch? Perhaps. And I think we can all appreciate a horror movie that tries to utilize style in its presentation when it's a pretty straightforward story about hauntings. And I can't believe I just used the word straightforward to describe The Conjuring 3, because this movie is absolutely crazy. It's insane. And the fact that they use the words based on the true story just makes it even better, because I have never seen a movie this insane still be so confident to put those words right there in the beginning. I also am gonna thank the editor for including comedic edits in this movie.
How are you going to convince a jury if you can't even convince me?
I'll tell you what. You come over to our house for dinner. We'll show you the evidence we've collected over the years. Introduce you to Annabelle. Deal?
All right. Show me what you got.
Mr. Johnson.
A hard cut showing how comedic some of these claims were being made and how they got to be made was fairly fitting for these, you know, cooks and crooks and frauds and other words you can use to describe the Warrens. Maybe they helped some people through placebo, but then again, there's some other stuff that they did that they don't want you to know. The Conjuring 3 It's a fun movie. It's a well-directed movie. It's a well-presented movie. It scored pretty well, and I think the editor knew exactly what he was doing. It knows what it is, it has fun with itself, and just wants to make a good popcorn horror movie that you can watch during a movie night with a bunch of people, and you're all probably gonna have a good time. There's just 2 little issues that you might have to get over to maybe enjoy this movie. If you're able at all to take any of this seriously, and some of the behind the scenes no-nos that the Warrens never ever want to address. I know they're dead, okay? They still have a estate and a child. They can still address it, or at least the movie could. The first thing is very easy to get over because I am not somebody that took any of this seriously, because even if a 10th of this was actually how it happened in the real world, I am pretty sure Lorraine would have been made a saint and Ed the Pope. If you are somebody that can take this movie at face value and somewhat seriously, you might even get a scare or 2. For me, I was more than happy to enjoy the show, enjoy these kids doing 360s with their backs, and people doing pretty silly lines of dialogue to send a soapy message about love and faith. Because, you know, they have to play at your heartstrings, because if they play at your heartstrings, you won't go home and look up some of the stuff on the Warrens. Which brings me to the second thing that is a lot harder to get over. The little kid, the kid with the glasses, the kid doing 360s with their backs, yeah, he fucking hates this version of events. He hates it to a point that when Lorraine made her version of events into a book called Devil of Connecticut, he sued her and he got that book out of print. This kid is pretty adamant that he feels exploited by the Warrens, that they took advantage of the entire family during a pretty bad time that they were having, just to get, you know, good old fame and riches, what most crooks love to do. This kid is very, very much not okay with this version of events. I'm one to probably believe the person that doesn't have some financial investment in keeping a version of events that satisfies the fact that they claimed to have solved 100 different cases of hauntings in their paranormal work that got them paid. In a lighter note, I do have a quote that the judge had to say out loud during the hearing on the claims of paranormal investigations, demons, and ghouls. The court will take judicial notice that the profession, the business, or hobby of locating demons has not risen to that level of viability where it would be of assistance to the jury in deciding the case. He had to say those lines in a court of law. That poor man. So, would I recommend The Conjuring 3? Abso-fucking-lutely. This movie is insane. It's just crazy. I am very able to recommend this movie simply from the fact that it's so clearly devoid of reality and just a fictitious event that it's very easy to separate the fishy Ed and Lorraine Warren to the saint-like ones that we are presented in the movie. But I have a real big caveat for you. Don't pay for this movie. Now, WB, please don't sue me. I am not saying out loud or making anybody do anything. I'm not going, hey, get a bottle of rum, go watch this movie with a little hook on your hands while you grab it from a certain area of the high seas and watch it for free. All I am saying is to wait until it's free in HBO Max so the Warren estate hopefully doesn't get any money from this movie. And I guess I'll give this movie 2 bent backs out of shady decisions made by Hollywood. Cool, great, subscribe, goodbye.